All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a topic that is deeply personal, often completely exhausting, but also entirely transformational, and that is infant sleep. We are going to ground ourselves in the highly emotional reality of broken sleep. We're stepping right into that chaotic, gray survival mode that so many exhausted parents know way too well, guided by the insights of a certified gentle sleep coach who also happens to be a former tech mom.
He wakes up every hour at night and I am exhausted. That right there is an actual message from a real mom before she started her sleep coaching journey. You can just feel the intense desperation in those words, right? If you have ever been in this initial state of sleep deprivation, you know exactly what this looks and feels like. It's those endless, lonely hours spent in the dark, rocking, carrying, and literally just crying from sheer physical and mental exhaustion.
But get this, just a few weeks later, that desperation transformed completely. And now he sleeps 11.5 hours. That is profound. It proves that stepping out of that absolute chaos and finding a peaceful resolution isn't just some pipe dream, it is entirely possible. Moving from hourly wake-ups to nearly 12 hours of calm, continuous rest completely changes the everyday reality of a household.
Section 1. The reality of exhaustion.
To really understand why this transformation matters so much, we have to talk about the systemic toll of sleep deprivation. When you're in the thick of it, it honestly makes you feel like a faded, ghost-like version of yourself. Because broken sleep isn't just about feeling a little bit tired. It has cascading impacts across every single system in your life. It shatters your patience, it seriously strains your relationships, and it sabotages your emotional regulation, making everything feel infinitely harder. It impacts your work, your physical health, and just your basic daily functioning. But you know what the most heartbreaking reality is? It steals your ability to actually enjoy this phase of your life. When you are running on empty, you aren't living, you're just surviving.
Section 2. The sleep coaching myth.
So if the exhaustion is that heavy, why don't more parents just immediately get help? Well, honestly, it usually comes down to fear. There is this huge prevailing myth out there that sleep coaching is a rigid, locked-in process that automatically means you have to use the cry-it-out method, or that you're forcing your child to sleep against their will. It feels like chains restricting both you and your baby. But the reality breaks right through that stigma. Real sleep support is incredibly freeing. It's actually about building healthy sleep skills, predictable rhythms, and habits that lift up and support the well-being of your entire family over time.
Section 3. What gentle coaching means.
So if we throw out the idea of forcing sleep, what are we actually doing? Well, gentle coaching is a truly holistic, family-centered approach. First off, it starts with understanding your child's nervous system, not ignoring it. It's about proactively reducing overtiredness and creating predictable rhythms that your child can rely on day in and day out. Notice the core focus here? Helping your child feel safe, supported, and connected. True connection is always prioritized over compliance. And finally, the goal that brings the whole shebang together, helping exhausted parents finally feel human again. It's a dual-focus approach that honors both the child and the caregiver.
Section 4. Why sleep wobbles happen.
Even when you build these incredible rhythms and habits, we have to normalize a fundamental truth. Infant sleep is rarely perfectly linear. Life happens, and that creates what we call sleep wobbles. The first major wobble, teething. It's a rapid-fire disruption that is painful, highly distracting, and will absolutely wake them up.
Next up is illness. When your little one is feverish or congested, their sleep architecture is naturally going to fracture. It's an entirely unavoidable hurdle. Then, of course, there's travel. Taking a kiddo out of their familiar environment will naturally unsettle even the absolute best routine.
We also have to account for massive developmental leaps. Learning to crawl, walk, or speak means their tiny brain is working overtime, which heavily disrupts rest. And finally, we have schedule drift and boundary testing. Sometimes the timing just gets a little bit off, or your toddler decides they want to see exactly how firm those bedtime rules really are. Every single one of these curveballs is completely normal. When one of these wobbles inevitably happens, we need to firmly, absolutely cross out parental guilt. Setbacks do not equal failure. It does not mean your child failed, and it absolutely does not mean you failed. It simply means your family just needs a little support getting back on track again. It's really just a moment to reset.
This is incredibly empowering once it clicks. Just listen to how one parent navigating a wobble put it. Thank you so much for the guidance. We'll work on these step by step and create a better routine and environment for them before restarting. Navigating a wobble isn't a crisis. It's a totally actionable, step-by-step process of recreating a supportive environment. and it is entirely within your control when you have the right tool.
Section 5. Reaching out for support.
Knowing the philosophy is great and all, but identifying exactly when it's time to actually ask for professional help, that is what changes lives. Are you feeling trapped in that gray survival mode we talked about? Is your little one waking every 1 to 2 hours? Are they fighting bedtime every single night? Are they entirely dependent on you rocking or feeding them to finally fall asleep? Are they waking extremely early or constantly struggling with naps? If you are mentally answering yes to these questions right now, it is a clear indicator that your family could deeply benefit from the support of a certified gentle sleep coach. You don't have to just white-knuckle your way through this.
Which brings us to our final question for you today. You do not have to stay stuck in survival mode. The data, the methods, the real-life stories, they all point to a brighter, much calmer way forward. So, what's it going to be? Will you stay stuck in the exhaustion, or are you ready to take a step-by-step approach to reclaim your rest and your joy in parenting? If you are ready, the source material suggests reaching out for a free gentle sleep consultation over at restfulbabysleep.com. Because healthy sleep isn't just some luxury, right? It is the absolute foundation of your family's well-being. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. And hey, here's to finally getting some rest.